What's up, my beautiful people? Back again with another daily dose of Reddit Hope and Happy, because we could all use a bit of both right now. Going into r/GetDisciplined today to talk about why failure is a good thing. So, let's get to it. Our first post comes from user Roses and Ivy. To all the smart kids who are struggling, why it's good to fail. TLDR, procrastination is often caused by a fear of failure, instilled in us as kids. Learning to think in terms of growth will help immensely. I used to be the smart kid. I coasted through most of my school years, not studying and getting high grades anyway. Teachers praised my intelligence and good grades all the time. My German teacher once said, "You're probably my only student who passed German without ever studying the grammar." It was meant as a criticism, but I took that as a great compliment. Now, this isn't meant as a brag. In the later years of high school, things got harder. Assignments required actual work and time put into them. Coursework was getting more complicated, and I didn't necessarily understand everything after a single read-through anymore. I started procrastinating, my grades were getting worse, and this led to me failing a year. After that, I put in a little more effort, but not that much more. I got into a good university and did quite well at first. But again, the coursework was getting increasingly complicated, and my procrastination problem got worse and worse. My classmates were getting much higher grades, and I didn't feel like the smart kid anymore. When I did get good grades, I felt like an imposter. Like there had been a mistake and I could be found out anytime. After I graduated, people told me I would find a job in no time. They said it would be easy because I had an in-demand degree, I was intelligent, etc. But that didn't happen. It took me months of sending countless applications and more than 20 in-person interviews to finally get one offer. During this time, I felt like such a failure. Eventually, I reached a point where I was depressed, very anxious, and started having panic attacks. I knew I had to get out of that situation. So I did a lot of introspection, reading, and I went to therapy. I learned that my problems were caused by a fear of failure. Because I had always been labeled the smart kid, that became my identity. The problem with that is, if you identify with being intelligent, every assignment and exam becomes a test of your worth as a person. The stakes are incredibly high because if you fail as a person. It directly threatens your identity. I learned that this deep-seated fear of failure leads to procrastination and half-effort work. This is essentially a coping mechanism. If you wait till the very last moment to do something you're supposed to do, and you fail, you can tell yourself, well, I could have done it if I started earlier. If you put half effort into something and fail, you can tell yourself, I could have done it if I really tried. You're protecting your identity as a smart person. Unfortunately, many parents and teachers inadvertently instill this fear of failure in their kids and students by praising their intelligence, giftedness, or good grades, rather than hard work and progress. This puts a lot of pressure on them and leads to kids and adults who are terrified of failing. The symptoms of this are actively avoiding anything challenging, giving up on learning a new skill if you're not immediately good at it, believing that some people are just born gifted, procrastination, depression, and anxiety. So what's the solution? The most important step is to separate your success from your identity. You are not your school results. You are not your work. Your worth as a person is not defined by those. The second step is changing your mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. This touches upon your view of people. Someone with a fixed mindset believes talented people were born with a special talent. They actually don't really believe in learning. They think that if you can't do something right away, you just don't have the talent for it, and that you shouldn't have to practice to get good at something. What they don't realize is that everyone struggles and everyone needs help from other people. Talented athletes train hours every day for years to get to the point they are at. They need a coach to train in the right way, and they fail a lot. They fail, examine why they failed, and try again. These are people with a growth mindset. They realize that failing is an essential part of learning because mistakes tell you how to improve. People with a growth mindset seek out challenges instead of avoiding them. The good news is that it's possible to change your mindset. Psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck found that just learning about the difference your mindset makes already helps. It also helps to look into how the brain learns. Scientists used to think your brain develops in childhood, and after that, it doesn't change anymore. We now know this isn't true. Your brain continues to change throughout your entire life. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain is like a muscle. The more you practice something, the stronger the connections between neurons become. This means we can always learn new things and improve our skills. When you fail, tell yourself you can't do it yet. That one word makes a huge difference. It suggests growth instead of an endpoint. I could write so much more on this topic, but I learned most of it from the book Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. I highly recommend this book if you recognize yourself in my story. She goes into great detail about the thought process behind a fear of failure and the studies she has done about fixed mindsets versus growth mindsets. You know, it never fails to amaze me how Reddit just always turns out content that I personally seem to find so applicable to my life as well. Hence why I share it, because I figure if it's useful to me, it can be useful to anyone watching. You know, I can understand and relate with so much of this. I was one of the smart kids growing up, and, you know, honestly, that's not exactly something you run from, because you take pride in it. And every single one of those things I have experienced. When you grow up feeling like that, it's very easy to get discouraged when you don't immediately pick something up. I mean, it's tough to want to pick something new up and then realize, I'm not that great at it. This isn't just coming to me naturally. I must suck. And then you just drop it because it's like, you can't do it immediately, so why even bother? And that just kind of further compounds into all these other feelings of depression and anxiety, and those drive procrastination. I mean, I get this. I really do understand this. But you touch on something else here at the end when you're talking about mindset. And I think that is truly very important. There's an old quote that I don't know who said it. It might be one of those that's just anonymous, but it goes along the lines of, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And frankly, that's entirely accurate. Mindset is so essential to everything here, and I'm glad you touched on that. It truly will define whether or not we're able to succeed at something. So thank you so much for sharing the post, and wherever you're at, I really do wish you the best. Our next post is from user Professor Killionaire. But first, if you think this video might help someone, go ahead and share it with them, because the whole point of this channel is to help people have hope and find happiness in society today. Reflection on our societal condition. A wake-up call. News, social media, porn, YouTube, Netflix, and overconsumption has stripped us of our ability to sustain attention, to feel deeply, and to connect to one another. It's 2020 and the world is swept away. More and more people, younger and younger, are being pulled into distraction-based existence, DBE. When the situation is seen for what it is, it's heartbreaking. Anxiety, fear, anger, unrest are normalized. Men trapped in porn addiction, women trapped in image complexes, children having full-blown addictions to screens. YouTube, TikTok, and similar software companies pay millions, probably way more, in research to entrap and sustain human awareness for as long as possible. And they succeed. For the sake of what? Profit. If you love yourself, set your standards higher. And I mean much higher. Your society won't set them higher for you. Your friends and family likely won't either. You have to do it for yourself, especially if you want to help others. This is what I mean by much higher. Peace of mind. If you're not completely peaceful in being alone, raise your standard. When I say peaceful, I mean truly peaceful. Most people may not even understand this. I'll elaborate. You are content. You are not thinking of the past or concerned about the future. In fact, you decide when you want to think on your terms. Your thoughts aren't randomly dragging you through the mud of fear, anxiety, or worry. You direct your thoughts and can simply stop cycles of thought when you wish. This is unfathomable to most in society, yes, because it's not their standard. Don't follow their standard. Stop accepting the constant assault from your mind. If you love yourself, you'll make this a priority. Train it. You're gonna live in the mind for the rest of your life. Maybe clean it up, especially before pointing out the mess in others. Joy in being. Remember when you were a child? When you were just happy and engaged in the world for the sake of it? If you love yourself, make that your standard. You believe you lost that childlike wonder and joy. You haven't. It's there, trust me. You've just allowed your mind to turn it into a dumping ground with the collective baggage. It isn't even your fault necessarily. Don't be so quick to blame yourself. Those around us simply do what they've learned from their society, family, and friends, and teach us the best they've come up with to be happy. Unfortunately, the best they've come up with isn't close to acceptable if you want stable joy. You find joy in your work, in creating a beautiful future. You share this with others, and they recognize this rare quality in you. This is necessary if you want to be exceptionally helpful to those confused and in pain around you. The best way to help others is to first learn to help yourself. Groundedness. Your possessions will break. You will see friends and family die. Your body will fail you. You will find yourself tested over and over and over by life's difficulties. But you learn to stay rooted in a stable ship of peace. Even when all of the above happen, you'll be able to support those in less stable minds. You can support your family when there is a death. You become a pillar in society by being a noble example. This isn't a somber acceptance of the harshness of reality, but the result of honest reflection of how things are. When the nature of reality is seen for what it is, you recognize the immaturity of engaging in war against it. You learn to let experiences come and go. They'd do that regardless, and you know this. This is not a cold state. It is a wise state. It's a mature state. It's the only state that is aligned with the flow of reality. And when you do this, you begin to realize the value was never in the passing world anyway. It was something deeper within the whole time. It's time to wake up. You're ready when you say you are. Stop waiting to say you are. The standard of society, social media, friends, family is not enough. Give yourself a chance to be peaceful, joyful, and grounded. Your mind isn't a dumping ground. Treat it like the most valuable tool you have, and you'll find that it is. This will be the best decision you make in your life. If you made it this far, thanks for reading, and here's a final postscript. Message me if you'd like to join a group that will be a support structure for those sincere and serious about this. I want to do my part in providing a tangible means to assist in such difficult times for those who are ready. Thanks. Oh boy, so much out of this that is applicable to today's world. You know, OP, you're right. I think those three things about peace of mind, finding a joy in just being, and learning how to be grounded are so important. I've mentioned this on other videos about people getting swept up in thinking about, oh, I'm not as pretty as that Instagram person, or why am I not at a point in my life where I can buy a house, or it's not fair that my neighbor is going on another vacation this year where I haven't been able to afford to go on one in the last 3. We've almost been conditioned to constantly be comparing ourselves with what others have and striving to one-up them. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't always be working to better your life or to further your career or anything like that. That's obviously a good thing. But if you're doing it solely to impress other people, then I think you're right. You've lost that peace of mind. Your thoughts are consumed by the idea of, I have to get ahead. I have to prove myself to them and to the rest of the world. And when that happens, there's neither any joy in being, and you have zero ability to be grounded. Your entire sole focus becomes on one-upping the Joneses. And yes, I do realize the irony in putting this up on a YouTube video, but I still think it's poignant. So thank you so very much for the post and for just putting this up there, and wherever you're at, I really do wish you the best. Our next post comes out of the r/GetDisciplined playlist right here on the left, or if you want to see the video that YouTube thinks is best for you, go ahead and hit that button on the right. Now, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside if you need to. I will see you all on Monday. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.